the percentage of green hydrogen in regard to the entire hydrogen production on a global level is very, very small, in a low one-digit percentage range. We aim to have green hydrogen in the future for several different sectors, and therefore we need to increase the production of green hydrogen significantly. Green hydrogen is basically a storage medium and not an energy source. So we need to input energy in order to produce green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is produced with renewable electricity to split water and hydrogen and oxygen. And green hydrogen is currently also a process which comes with quite a few losses. So we have up to 50% losses currently, and technically we can improve the efficiency of producing green hydrogen up to 70–75%. So green hydrogen is important for some sectors, and the main sectors we think are the most important one for green hydrogen are the chemical industry as feedstock, or to add into processes if we need very high temperatures, the steel industry, the cement industry, and to some extent also other metals. What we assume we don't need green hydrogen for is the land transport areas. So we see that green electricity for transport, especially for private vehicles, or for smaller vehicles, is far more efficiently used if we use batteries for storage and not hydrogen. Also, large trucks, we basically thought only a few years ago that large trucks will probably be powered by green hydrogen, not by batteries. We see now that the development of batteries and the improvements and the efficiencies lead to higher and higher energy density in batteries, larger battery capacities, and therefore we assume that also large trucks will eventually be operated mainly by electric batteries and will not use green hydrogen. However, green hydrogen is also a feedstock for synthetic fuels, for shipping and for aviation. And for aviation, for example, synthetic aviation fuel, some people call it also sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, needs green hydrogen plus carbon in order to produce basically the electric produced kerosene. SAF is currently the most likely fuel for aviation, to decarbonize aviation, as pure hydrogen for planes is not very practical right now. We don't know if hydrogen will ever be used for planes, but will certainly not play a role for the next 15 to 20 years. So therefore, for decarbonization of the aviation sector, SAF is the one and only fuel to go. SAF basically requires hydrogen plus carbon. So the question is, where does the carbon come from? There are different options. In theory, it could come from fossil fuels, but that would not be an advancement, that would not add to decarbonization, so therefore that's not an option. And that has a limit because of sustainability criteria, and it could also come from other industrial processes, so for example from captured hydrogen, for example from cement production, or from direct air capture, basically to take carbon out of the air and then put it into the hydrogen to create synthetic fuels. Direct air capture is quite energy inefficient. It requires a lot of land and water, so therefore the potential to produce SAF with hydrogen and direct air capture carbon is quite limited as well. Another sector which requires hydrogen in the future will be the shipping sector. From what we know right now, that hydrogen will be used purely to power ships, but it will be probably a feedstock to produce synthetic fuels, either methane or ammonia. Methane again needs carbon, and to add carbon is another complexity, because we need to get the carbon from somewhere. So that could be again from direct air capture, potential is very low. From biomass, potential is limited because of sustainability criteria and competing interests to use biomass for other processes, like for materials, and from other industrial processes like cement production. The hydrogen is therefore a very important feedstock for a whole variety of different fuels for the chemical industry, for the shipping industry, and for the aviation sector. In the future, we will see an uptake of hydrogen, and that comes with also some risks. The hydrogen production should be in areas where we have a very large renewable energy potential. And that's either in deserts with very high solar radiation. It could be very windy areas, onshore wind, but also offshore wind. The production will be rather centralized due to costs and economies of scale. Therefore, we need to have also sustainability criteria for the production of hydrogen in order to not repeat the same mistakes as we have done in the past with fossil fuel exploration and fossil fuel extraction. It also adds another complexity in terms of where do we actually do it. If we go to, for example, to Africa, to our other developing countries in Africa or outside Africa, we always have the aspect that the population in the specific country where the hydrogen might be produced need to benefit from the production of hydrogen, also should have priority to actually use the energy produced in their own country before they export it. So there are a number of different criteria we see are required in order to have a truly sustainable green hydrogen production. From the ecological point of view, it must be environmentally friendly. We need to go into areas which are not biodiversity hotspots. We need to have in mind that hydrogen needs a lot of water. So if we produce green electricity with solar in deserts, the problem there is that obviously in deserts there's no water. So we need to actually move the hydrogen production where the resources are, but we need to have a proper analysis in terms of sustainability, but also social criteria in order to make it truly sustainable and long-term market in the region. Secondly, social criteria are important. We need to include the local population. The local population needs to benefit economically from the production of green hydrogen, but also need to have access to the energy itself. So it would be a major mistake to produce hydrogen with electricity in a country where the people who live next door don't actually have access to electricity. And finally, we need to also think very carefully how we use green hydrogen. As green hydrogen is very important for specific industrial processes, for some sectors like the chemical industry sector or steel manufacturing, cement manufacturing, but also the production of synthetic fuels, that we only use the green hydrogen in areas where we can't electrify. We still have some sectors where we have a problem to electrify. We still can't fly a long-haul plane with batteries. Short-haul flights, a few hundred kilometers with small planes, are actually possible to operate with batteries, so with electric drives, but it won't be possible for large planes. So there are specific technical requirements in order to use hydrogen as efficient and as effective as possible. To sum up, green hydrogen is an important part of the future energy transition, but has a number of technical, economical, and sustainability requirements in order to actually build up a long-term truly sustainable sector.